Khana, a big focus. It's the first high-profile visit to the subcontinent by a senior official of the Trump administration, and it may well set the tone for how the U.S. deals with the region going forward. And so when U.S. National Security Advisor Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster sends a stern message to Pakistan, can Pakistan afford to turn a deaf ear? In a clear sign of how the Trump administration views Pakistan's role in fomenting trouble in the region, McMaster has said, "We hope Pakistan will go after terror groups less selectively, and the country should pursue its interests through diplomacy, not through proxies who engage in violence." The question is Pakistan listening? Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif told McMaster that Pakistan wants peaceful ties with India, something India would find extremely hard to take seriously, especially after the Kulbhushan Jhadhav episode.
A farcical trial with absolutely no evidence. A sham defense to justify the atrocity. Today, as Pakistan runs for cover, US has tried its ploy to malign India.
We hope that Pakistani leaders will understand that it's in their interest to go after these groups less selectively than they have in the past, and that the best way to pursue their interests in Afghanistan and elsewhere is through diplomacy, not through the use of proxies that engage in violence.
Pakistan's attempt to regain lost ground has found no takers. And today, as Pakistan struggles to keep its secrets safe, it is resorting to the old-age tactics of preaching peace while it continues to shield terrorists.
Pakistan was trying to regain its lost ground that it had lost during the former President Barack Obama's regime. Now, the National Security Advisor General McMaster's public warning to Pakistan to not use proxies that engage in violence to pursue its interests has certainly cornered Pakistan at the international forum, and India will utilize it to expose Pakistan.
As India mounts diplomatic offensive, a globally isolated Pakistan is slowly running out of options.
That is one advice Pakistan will not follow, because proxy war means a great deal to them, with a policy of 1,000 cuts.
We welcome words which discipline Pakistan, which control Pakistan, and we welcome them.
As the world unites against Pakistan and its nefarious design to malign India, Nawaz Sharif is left with few options to attempt a face saver. Bureau Report, NewsX.
All right, let's now take that straight to our panel. We are joined by Ambassador Vivek Karju, former Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs. Syed Zafar Islam, spokesperson for the BJP, is also with us. We're hoping to be joined shortly by Brahma Chilani, Strategic Affairs expert. Naveed Chaudhary, leader of Pakistan People's Party, is joining us via Skype. We're also hoping to be joined in just a bit by Raymond Vickery, former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Commerce and leading advisor on U.S.-India relations. All right, Ambassador Karju, let me begin with you. You heard what McMaster said in Kabul, telling Pakistan to go after terror groups less selectively and to not use proxies that engage in violence. Sir, do you feel this statement is a clear sign that the Trump administration could now get tougher with Pakistan on the issue of terror and perhaps lean on Pakistan to stop harboring terror groups, whether it is the Haqqani network and the Taliban that hurt American interest in Afghanistan, or the terror groups that target India like the Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Jaish-e-Mohammed? Or are we expecting too much from the US?
Look, I think as a general proposition, I would welcome General McMaster's comments regarding Pakistan's use of proxies. But at the same time, I cannot overlook the fact that they were made in Kabul, and therefore the specific reference, I would imagine, was to the groups that Pakistan is supporting and promoting and instigating to foment violence in Afghanistan to achieve its objectives. Now, General McMaster is in Delhi now, and we really have to wait and watch whether he condemns Pakistan or makes a comment on Pakistan's use of proxies
Right.
against India with the same emphasis as he has used in Afghanistan.
Absolutely, and that is the big question really being asked here in India, something that India will be keeping a close eye on. All right, let me now go across to Raymond Vickery, who joins us on the phone line. He's former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Commerce and a leading advisor on U.S.-India relations. Thanks, Mr. Vickery, for speaking to NewsX. Now, a report authored by Lisa Curtis, who's now part of the Trump administration, its national security team, has recommended that the Trump administration be prepared to get tough with Pakistan on the issue of terror and keep on the table the option of declaring Pakistan a state sponsor of terrorism. She says in her report that this even-handed South Asia policy that the U.S. has adopted so far is no longer going to work, and that the U.S. needs to levy costs on Pakistan for perpetuating terrorism in the region. Mr. Vickery, my question to you is this something that we can realistically expect the Trump administration to actually go ahead with?
Yes, I think so. I think Ms. Curtis's views on that are very well taken. This is something that started under the Obama administration and is now continuing, and is a clearer-eyed view of what Pakistan's role must be in controlling terrorism in its own territory, which emanates from there. So I think that there is going to be a further tightening, if you will. For too long, there has been a situation in which we have not been as forthright as we should in regard to Pakistan. That having been said, it is still in the best interest of all concerned, India and the U.S., who have very much in common in regard to the global fight on terrorism. There is going to be a need to work with elements in Pakistan to be able to secure the kinds of action we need against Lashkar-e-Taiba, against Haqqani Network, and that it is not a case that it'll simply be an attempt to write off Pakistan.
Right.
But to answer your question, it will be a tighter situation.
All right, it will be a tighter situation. You've also been candid enough to admit that perhaps the U.S. has not been as forthright on the role of Pakistan in fomenting terror as it should have been. But Mr. Vickery, before I go across to my other panelists, and we're also now joined by Brahma Chelani, if I could ask you, Mr. Vickery, you know, Pakistan continues to unfortunately draw this distinction between good terrorists and bad terrorists. And often we've also seen the U.S. perhaps, not taking a strong enough stand as far as Pakistan's export of terror to India is concerned, even as it continues to pressurize Pakistan to act against the Haqqani Network and the Taliban because they hurt American interests. So America also has been accused of duplicity.
Well, I wrote a letter to the editor of the Washington Post exactly on this subject not long ago, saying that the distinction between good terrorists, that is terrorists who might have in mind some harm to India, and bad terrorists, the ones that have in mind harm to Pakistan institutions, is intolerable. I don't think there's any question about that. Now, has there been ever any duplicity? I don't think that anybody who's involved in international relations would say that there has been no duplicity from any of the actors involved, India included. So I think that what it takes is a will for us to work together on terrorism wherever it emanates, and that includes on the territory of Pakistan.
All right, Mr. Vickery, stay with us because I need to get some Indian voices into this debate now. Brahma Chelani also joining us on the show. Mr. Chelani, let me come to you now. Of course, we heard Mr. Vickery being rather candid, saying yes, the U.S. has been guilty of duplicity in the past. Now, there are also many, Mr. Chilani, in the U.S. Congress, for example, who stated time and again that the U.S. needs to stop treating Pakistan as an ally because it hurts American interest by harboring terror groups operating in Afghanistan while taking military aid from the U.S. And therefore, any future military aid should be predicated on whether it goes after these terror groups. But realistically, Mr. Chilani, do you think the Trump administration will have the stomach for something like this, given their dependence on Pakistan in this war? Mr. Chilani, can you hear me? All right, we seem to be having some trouble with Mr. Chilani's connection there. We will go across to him in just a bit. Before that, Syed Zafar Islam, let me bring you into this discussion. Now, we know that McMaster is already informally at a dinner. Tomorrow, of course, the official talks will take place. The question is, what is India hoping to achieve from this visit by McMaster? Is, for example, the Kulbhushan Jhadhav case going to be taken up? And whether it is the Jhadhav case, whether it is the issue of terror, can India really count on the US? What is the Indian government hoping for?
Pakistan once again exposed. They tried their best to paint a very good picture of Pakistan in front of the Trump's administration. But they failed because what the statement NSA has made that clearly exposed Pakistan, that they are selectively supporting targeting the terror camp, which is actually terrorist, which is good for them. They are supporting because they are targeting Indian soil and Indian army, so they are supporting them, and the terrorists, which is against their interests, they are targeting them. So that's when Pakistan has been exposed.
My question is, that is well known, sir. My question is, what is the Indian government hoping to achieve from this visit?
Well, the government is the bilateral discussion between India and the United States time and again that we want to bring every country on the same platform, that they should take action against Pakistan. They must make a statement against Pakistan because Pakistan is harboring terrorism, is a terror factory, and somehow they are getting support from countries like even United States in form of aid. So
Mr. Islam, that is well known. The point is, what are the big takeaways likely to be? All right, at this point, let me also get into the debate. Our Pakistani guest, Naveed Chaudhry, leader of Pakistan People's Party, also with us. Mr. Chaudhry, firstly, I'd like your reaction to what McMaster said in Kabul. Many see this as America's stern message to Pakistan. Stop using proxies that engage in violence and go after terror groups less selectively. It's in your own interest, he says.
Military, U.S. state advisors and the Nawaz Sharif, as they have released the press release, they've shown that it is a very positive. But I think Nawaz is isolated over here because his policies are not working properly. He is not advocating properly the issue of what's happening in this region, how the terrorist activities are going to happen and how the non-state actors are doing everything. So that's why his meeting is not that up to level what he was expecting. Although they have released a press release in this favor and said that they have highlighted all the important things, but as an opposition I can see that he's failed to deliver what we require. Although the Trump administration, when the Trump administration, when they gave us assurance, while they offered you also talk on Kashmir and India refuses on that thing is not highlighted properly over here.
Okay, you're talking as an opposition leader, Mr. Chaudhry, but what I want to ask you is, you're talking about Nawaz Sharif's isolation, and I take that point. Most do believe that Nawaz Sharif really is certainly not in control. We know it's the Pakistan military that has been calling the shots, whether we take the case of Jadhav or the terror that's emanating from Pakistani soil. But my question really is Is Pakistan not worried, whether it is the army or the other players, are they not worried that there could perhaps be a significant shift in the US policy, given that we now have Trump in power and that things may not be the way they have been so far?
I don't think that there is any shift in the Trump administration's thought, because the way Trump administration came over here and they gave clear assurance to the PM Nawaz Sharif and the Pakistan government that they are going to play a positive role in the bilateral talks. It will help us more. So it is the same policy.
You're saying you don't see any change, though of course it's early days yet, Mr. Chaudhary, and of course what they say about Trump is that the only thing predictable about him is his unpredictability, and going by McMaster's statement, it looks like there may well be a shift, but of course we'll have to wait and see. Before I go across to Brahma Chelani, who I'm told can perhaps hear us now, if Mr. Chaudhary, I could quickly ask you this. Nawaz Sharif tells McMaster that Pakistan wants peaceful relations with India. My question is, Pakistan continues to export cross-border terrorism. It continues to foment trouble in Kashmir. It's hell-bent on killing an innocent Indian like Jadhav. And it continues to shield terrorists like Hafiz Saeed, Lakhvi and Masood Azhar, who've killed scores of Indians. Therefore, how do you expect India to take Pakistan seriously when we are told that you want peaceful relations with India?
It is a reciprocal thing, you see. You cannot blame only Pakistan for this purpose. It's a reciprocal thing.
So it is reciprocal, but what can you blame India for? We are not exporting terror to your country. You're sending people to kill up. You're sending terrorists to kill our people, sir. So what reciprocity exactly are we talking about here?
What Kulbhushan was doing over here is also the same thing.
So we all know what a sham, what a farce that so-called trial has been. And even today, Nawaz Sharif has said India will not be given consular access, sir. This is a gross violation of the Geneva Convention.
That is your point, but I disagree with your point, because it's not a violation of the Geneva Convention, because any person who is from forces doing spy work in another country is treated under the Geneva Convention.
Well, sir, we all know that there is not a shred of credible evidence against Jadhav, that this entire trial has been a complete farce. Okay, Ambassador Karju, you want to come in here very quickly before I go across to Brahma Chelani. Ambassador Karju, come in quickly.
To defend him on the appeal.
Let me go across to Ambassador Karju. Ambassador Karju, quickly on this point about Jadhav.
If you see the statement of the Pakistan foreign policy advisor, Sartaj Aziz,
right,
it is such a ludicrous statement, both in terms of the charges leveled against Kulbhushan Jhadhav, as well as the timeline of the trial that they've given, that it exposes Pakistan completely, and Mr. Chaudhary would be well advised to have to focus on the infirmities of that statement.
All right. Now I need to go across to Brahma Chelani. Mr. Chelani, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
All right. My question to you is this, that, you know, we've heard what McMaster said about Pakistan in Kabul, talking about, advising Pakistan to not use proxies that engage in violence. My question is, there are many, even in the US Congress, who say that, the US needs to stop treating Pakistan as an ally, because Pakistan is hurting American interests by supporting terror groups in Afghanistan, even as it continues to accept military aid from the US. The question is, will the Trump administration have the stomach to actually go ahead and take such a tough stance on Pakistan, given their dependence on that country in the war in Afghanistan?
That's a good question, and there is no indication so far that the Trump administration is going to change tack on Pakistan. In fact, what General McMaster has said is something that US officials have repeatedly said in the past. In fact, President Obama in October 2015 said categorically in public that the sanctuaries for the Taliban and other terrorist groups in Pakistan must end. And yet, the Obama administration pursued a policy of appeasement toward Pakistan. repeatedly the US has pursued a policy of only carrots towards Pakistan. No sticks are involved. And as long as they refuse to wield the stick against Pakistan, they will not manage this problem that they are facing in Afghanistan. They're fighting the war in Afghanistan on one side of the Afghan-Pakistan divide. But the sanctuaries of the Taliban are all located in Pakistan, including the command and control structure. And as long as they do not hit the command and control of the Taliban located in Pakistan, they can never manage to win this war.
Let me take that to Mr. Vickery. Mr. Vickery, you may have heard what our Indian guests here have said. Now, you know, this brings me back to the point that I made earlier. The US's duplicity that, you know, while they may continue to put pressure on Pakistan to go after terror groups that hurt American interests, we've seen that the US is often silent or does little more than just playing lip service as far as Pakistan's role in fomenting terror in India is concerned. And perhaps that needs to change now. Can we expect that to change, realistically speaking?
Well, one of your guests has just said that what McMaster is saying is something that has been said by President Obama, and that we have been working with India together to try to address the terrorism problem from Pakistan. I don't believe that it is the case that you're going to see a complete declaration of enmity against Pakistan. After all, we're using drones against people inside Pakistan on a regular basis. And we will work with India on the Make in India for the kinds of things that fight terrorism.
All right. We've completely run out of time, Mr. Vickery. Thanks very much for joining us. Ambassador Karju, I have just 10 seconds left. If I could get your closing comment, can India really count on the US? Very quickly, sir. Ambassador
I think we would very much like to, but as of now, yes, as of now, there is no indication that we can. We are in this fight against terrorism from Pakistan all on our own.
All right.
That is the ultimate truth.
All right. This is a battle that perhaps, or rather a war that India has to fight all alone. I'd like to thank all my guests for joining us on this debate. We've completely run out of time. Of course, the big question is, what will the big takeaways of this McMaster visit to India be? We will probably know in the next 24 hours. That's it from me then. Thanks for watching.